We're live. Another Wednesday Sip and Song series. We're going to be joined here momentarily by our friends Nate and Juliet, and a Portland, Oregon-based band called The Get Ahead. Kind of like roots, rock, fun, great stuff. Joining in. How y'all doing?
Hey. Good. How you doing?
We're doing well. Where are you guys joining us from today?
We're from our little kind of home studio rehearsal space here in Milwaukee, Oregon, just outside of Portland.
Milwaukee, Oregon.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. Nice to see you.
You too.
Yeah.
How's the weather down there today?
Oh, it's beautiful.
It's super nice. It's like sunny, but not hot. So it's great.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. This is like the sweet part of summer when it kind of like
Yeah.
cools a little bit, but it's still really nice out.
Yeah, the evenings are spectacular.
Yeah, love it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm doing well. Yeah, it's a lovely day up here as well. It's been a very nice summer. Only one kind of really hot week. We didn't get any smoke this year, which is great, but
Super grateful for that.
our hope to go out to California again. Always, it feels like every summer since I've been here, which is the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Especially for a tree planting brand like what we are.
Yeah.
Anytime there's trees in the news, I always get the updates and stay tuned with what's going on, and it's real tough.
Yeah, I really feel for those folks down there. Santa Cruz, I know, is in danger, and lots of folks and friends and family down there. So sending love to y'all.
And up here, Seattle way, we got the news that a 197-year-old tree, the matriarch of the apple industry, we also just lost this past week. So a lot of tree news this week. Big week for tree news. But it's great to just learn about this. I didn't know about this tree, that almost 200-year-old apple tree, which really kind of like, it's so fundamental to my industry. But I'm thinking a lot about what I was going to make to pair with your songs. So I was thinking about apples and apple trees and stuff.
Nice.
But not to start on too much of a somber note, trees dying and stuff. It's also great. It's the circle of life. But yeah, nice to see y'all. I always like to start with just like, tell us a bit about what y'all do and the Get Ahead and how things are going on in your life.
Yeah. Oh, Get Ahead started 7 years ago?
2012.
8 years ago. Wow, it's been around longer than I thought.
Yeah.
Juliet and I got together with the idea of doing a real like kind of throwback soul band. We were really into bands like Sharon Jones, like a lot of Daptone records.
Oh yeah.
A lot of throwback stuff. Charles Bradley, Lee Fields and the Expressions. We were super into that whole thing, and there wasn't a lot of that happening in Portland at the time. So we were really interested in doing that with a very gritty kind of vibe also, and getting people out dancing and moving. So that's how we first came together. And it's evolved from there to become sort of its own thing, I think, in many ways. More of like an Americana roots band.
Yeah.
Over the time we've been together, and we've had some big shifts. We've had once we had our current drummer and his wife Danny and Angie join the band. That really feels like things came together in a bigger way. And she plays violin and saxophone, so that's really shaped the music that we make now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also didn't realize. So you have two couples that are the foundation of the band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sean, our bass
It's a
player,
family band.
odd man out.
Yeah.
But he's been a very close friend of Juliet's since they were teenagers.
Yeah.
So it feels very much like a family band for all of us.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's always great to start with the screaming eagle of soul as kind of the nexus.
Not a bad place to start. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have an opportunity to ever see him live?
I did, actually. I saw him. I was living in New York for a while, and I saw him at one of the free festivals that they threw on the waterfront.
Oh, wow.
And he played just before Nico Case, who was meant to be the headliner.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting back-to-back. And Charles Bradley and the Dap Kings, who were playing as his house band for the show, blew out all the monitors on stage.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
So Nico Case and company had a tough task of playing the show with no monitors. But that was a very memorable day. And yeah. Big fan.
Yeah.
Big fan of
Yeah.
the
Oh,
Dap
that's great.
puts out.
Like the biggest heart in the whole.
Yeah, and just an incredible story. I mean, to basically be found on the street and just been like, holy cow, this dude's amazing, that late in his life too. And they had another record, the Dap Tone, that they put out with just another incredible story, a band called the Frighteners, which is like rock steady kind of contemporary reggae, a band from Jamaica, Queens. I loved quite a bit as well.
I've heard a little bit of that. I need to get a copy of that though.
Yeah. He sings at a beautiful falsetto. I mean, that's a whole story too. I don't want to take up the whole conversation just riffing on Dap Tone, but the guy had ALS, and his body was failing while they were writing their last record.
Oh wow.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Lots of great stories in the Dap Tone family. Like Sharon Jones, great story too, and we saw her a few times, and she was really moving. Just the powerful, just spirit.
Force. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, I never got to see Sharon Jones herself, but I mean, what a legacy! Just absolutely incredible. So
yeah, those are still big influences for us for sure. You know, those folks who continue to play like gritty, soulful music. You know, I plan to do that until I can't do it anymore. Not as well as any of those folks for sure, but
yeah. I think something that's so special about what Dap Tone and what those folks do is just like a commitment to the craft and a commitment to like that sound and that style and like doing everything in period, like the way that they record stuff and their attention to detail with sound engineering and period instruments and stuff, and like that, not losing the feel of it. You're talking about like the grittiness of it. It's not just like it's a vibe, but it's bigger. It's like a whole thing. It's a whole unit.
It's a tradition.
Definitely.
It's an American tradition. Definitely.
Yeah, and I've had a chance to hear, some of y'all's stuff, and I love it. It's a great place to jump in. So next up, is there any one moment or kind of anecdote or story that you could share that kind of like brings you from that and the genesis and from 8 years ago to like where you are today and now, because you got some new stuff still in the pipeline. I think we're going to hear like a debut song or a song that's not quite out yet. So
Yeah. I mean, I would think like, I don't know, maybe like a culminating moment. Like we got invited to play in Nashville last September at Americana Fest. And so that felt like a big accomplishment for us as a band, as, our sound had really evolved and grown, like we said, with the addition of Danny and Angie in the band. And so that felt like a real kind of wake-up call for us, and a really exciting time to get to share our music with a whole new audience and also be surrounded by some incredible musicians, like new ones that we met, as well as like, people we loved for years and years. So it was a huge honor and just a really exciting time, I think, in like the trajectory of this band. Felt like we've been working toward that. So that was a big moment.
Yeah. I was going to go all the way back.
Oh yeah, do it.
And just say like this, we are celebrating bourbon whiskey today. So really that's like always been a way that we bonded.
Yeah, that's true.
We were not together as a couple when we started this band, and we would often like step aside before playing a show and have a whiskey together, either at the bar.
We always get like
venue,
a shot of something delicious.
Or Juliet would have like a little pint in her bag, and we'd step aside. So that was always a way that we kind of.
Oh, sorry, that was me. Oh. It's always the internet. So while we're here, waiting for the internet to reload, let's see if they get booted and jump back in. I guess let's tour the bar, because I have some ideas, but I want to do a little bit different of approach. So we got, you're back.
Sorry, we lost you.
I was touring the bar while you were waiting. So there's going to inevitably be some hiccups with the internet, just because But we're back, so we're here. You were talking about drinking whiskey.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would step aside and have a whiskey together, bourbon or an Irish whiskey,
Yeah.
and ultimately that ended up kindling a relationship between the two of us.
It's
We
built on
blame it on the
whiskey.
whiskey.
That's our
Yeah.
foundation.
So this was before y'all were like together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're in
It
a
was
band.
like a couple built on whiskey.
Exactly.
Sort of.
That was our. I
Yeah.
think that was a lot of for a lot of fun evenings.
At least opened up some opportunities for us.
Yeah.
That's great. I mean, because that was going to be the next question is like, Noble Oak is kind of the two things. It's great bourbon, and then there's the kind of tree planting and noble heart and giving back piece of it. Because so much of what brings us to this and why we're doing the music series now is just connecting with people, right? That's like so much of what we've lost. And it's bars and restaurants, but it's also folks in service and music, being able to go to live shows. Because that's a lot of how we think, when we're thinking about just Noble Oak, what it is that whiskey is a thing that brings people together. It's so much like the root of building community in general.
Mm-hmm.
Especially I think about it a lot with roots and Americana music because I like to drink whiskey while I listen to roots and Americana music. But let's jump into a song at this point. What's going to be up first?
We're gonna play a song called "Sister Cities." It's off of our last record, and it's sort of a letter that I wrote to Portland's sister city of Sapporo, Japan. I forgot for a second.
You did.
Yeah. So I wrote it as a letter because of all the changes that Portland had been going through. I've been here since 2003, so I've seen quite a lot of changes happen in this city that I love. And I was trying to find a way of expressing that, and this is how it came about for me. So.
Okay, so before we jump into this, thank you for telling me that because I was trying to look up some cheat codes to see if I could pull apart the meaning of the song. I had that sense. I knew that Seattle has a number of sister cities as well, but the mood and vibe of the song is one of nostalgia, like looking back on a journey that you've gone on. And so I was also thinking about the time that I spent in New York and the journey that I've gone on to get here. But I want to do a little collaborative thing. So I have a couple of ideas of what I want to make to pair with this song.
Okay, awesome.
I want to do a little bit of a bartender thing, which is what would you like to drink? So I'm going to do a shaken drink.
Okay.
And I'm going to either do something that's like a sour with an egg white served in a coupe.
Okay.
With a strawberry rhubarb jam, or ginger cider served tall.
I don't know. I think I'm leaning toward that ginger cider thing. What about you?
Yeah, I like ginger.
There it is. Well, great.
We're talking about cider too. That's goes back to the apple tree.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and it's a tie-in with the Great Northeast as well. So much of where I grew up in New England and then upstate New York as well, which is great. The two great cider regions of America, the Pacific Northwest and the Northeast.
Yeah. So are you going to make that cocktail while we play the song?
I'm going to try. They told me that I was making a little bit of noise. So I'm going to try to do as much as I can without noise.
Okay.
Because I don't think Instagram Live lets you mute. But I'm going to be hanging out and prepping things.
Be ready. Cocktail accessories so that they don't make noise now.
Yeah.
Patented.
Well, I'm going to do as many of the noiseless things as possible.
All right. Sounds good. Well, we'll just play the song for you then. 4,440 miles across an ocean, dark and deep. Do the cherry blossoms bloom in the soft and sudden spring? Are you sitting right and thinking that you still be alive? Move so slowly, I felt it was the only one of my kind. Today I look around, you're the only one I'll tell. Anymore I do not recognize or know myself. How can it be that it was gone so fast? I only see architecture of these new shadows I cast. Sister City. Sisterhood signed in 1959. All this time we have shared school. Is it raining in your streets? Do they shine like swords? I wonder if you're sitting drinking, reading these words. Once I could see the misty hills rising so soft, delicate and free. Now I look around, anymore I must confess the parts of me that breathe I no longer possess. How can it be that I have gone so far? I only hear an echoing in my heart. Oh, just a start, Sister City. 'Cause city, I know this is coming out of nowhere. There was no one else that I could think would understand. Oh, I am reaching out to you in desperation. Can you help me like only a sister can? 4,404 miles across an ocean dark and thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I actually quite like the sound of cocktails being as
I
accompaniment.
didn't do too much crazy stuff. That's excellent. I love that song quite a bit. And for those of you who are watching at home who haven't had a chance to check out Nate and Juliet from the Get Ahead, that song is on Spotify. Go listen to it because it's excellent. So I put in some ginger syrup, some lemon juice, cardamom bitters,
Ooh,
and
nice.
fir bitters. We're going to shake that up just now, real quick.
Fall, like we're getting close to fall. Yeah.
And we're going to pair it with some cider. I don't have any Portland cider, but this will do. So, what do you want to? Do you want to share any more words about that song or the album that it's on, or?
That album is our latest album, but we are really excited that we're finally getting to the point where the single from the album before that is very close to 1 million Spotify plays, since you just mentioned Spotify. Mind is a Mountain is very close. And anybody out there, if you're listening to that song, listen as much as you can, because we're getting so close to 1 million. It would be very exciting to get there.
Let's hit the 1,000th play. I want somebody on this feed, on this Instagram Live, to be the 1,000th click. Let's do that.
Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, we're still really enjoying that record, the new record, Deepest Light. And we are working on new stuff. We started some social distance rehearsals as a band in here with masks on and fans going and stuff. So yeah, excited. That looks like a tasty beverage.
This was the right choice, I think. It was
Yeah.
over a little bit, but ginger, bourbon, cardamom, all pair together great. Noble Oak has a little bit of spice. Hey, you guys got some whiskey, right? What'd you get? What did you end up?
Delicious.
Nice. You get the bourbon. Excellent. So cheers.
Cheers. I'm coming on
Clink.
this one.
Yeah, and for me, just this kind of pairing and thinking about this, like I was chatting with Bianca, who was our guest last week, our first one. So it's only the second time that I've done this, and then we've taken this approach. And it's like, well, how do you make a drink and pair it with the cocktail? Like, what's the reason for making the drink?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's either like an emotional reason, something that I have or that a listener has in connection with the song, or that it ties into something thematically or lyrically, like this ingredient is from this region that it speaks to or is local, or kind of a synesthesia color type thing. And I kind of like to combine all of those different approaches. And for me, like emotionally, this song, has a connection. I've never been to Japan, but again, it has all of those vibes of like going on a journey, of being a little bit forlorn, of reflecting on a journey that you've been on, and then tying this back into my former home was like kind of the feelings that I had listening to it. And it also tastes good. It's delicious.
Yeah.
Really.
So will you be posting the recipe for the beverage you just made?
Yeah, so the way that we've been doing it, or the way that we did it for the last week is we're going to grab this clip and then pair the song, like a 30-second clip of the song, with the cocktail recipe
That's great.
going forward. So
We'll make sure we make that.
yeah, we'll have a book, and the next time we're all on tour, we can pair it up. Everybody can actually taste it in real life.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Well, in the meantime, I really do enjoy this
Yeah.
bourbon quite a lot.
We love it.
Yeah, cheers. I need to, just cheers with this again. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers.
This is great connecting.
It's a nice.
So hey, you've already touched on it a little bit, that you guys have something in the works. You're still writing songs. You're back to kind of safely social distanced. You've adapted. You've back to rehearsals and stuff. But yeah, what does that look like for kind of the more immediate, recent past, and like where you're at and what things have been like for y'all?
So it was, of course, like most bands, we had like things booked through the end of summer. We were like very excited about shows and festivals, and of course all that ended. But we essentially took like a couple month hiatus at the height of COVID when everything happened. And then, in the last 8 to 10 weeks or so, we've all gotten back together as a band, back on our weekly rehearsal schedule, which has been really lovely. And
we also started really sharing recordings of music and snippets, and starting to work on ways to collaborate at a distance, like a distance creation. We had a good amount of music that we were working on, polishing new music to prepare for the studio before this whole thing hit. And so our recent rehearsals are really focused on getting that stuff ready, and maybe for an EP recording or
at least a couple of songs. We're hoping to record at least 2 or 3 songs before the end of the year. So yeah, but that's essentially kind of the near future. And then of course we'll see in terms of live music when that happens again and how that can go. But
we're really, really lucky that we have our rehearsal space here in our own home. That's something that was just a huge bonus for the fact that when we got this house, we got this space. So that has been super helpful, and we can kind of control the space and ensure that it's safe. We've all been very safe. I mean, we have a small child, so we've been super cautious and sticking it out at home. And we're super lucky also that that Juliet's mom, my mother-in-law, lives next door, so we kind of have, that's our bubble right now. And we can go forth.
Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad that congratulations on being able to go down and kick it in Nashville last year. Congratulations on the kiddo and just being able to stay safe. Oh, Becca wants a toddler cameo. Last week it was the dog. Now it's the toddler.
oh yeah, I know. She's like, go run and grab her. Trying to sleep.
Yeah, she's.
Has anything about kind of the changing circumstances changed your kind of process or just songwriting perspective at all? Like, is this something that you're actively writing songs about, just how wild the world is? Because it feels like we have 100 news cycles a day now or whatever, and just writing songs and trying to capture emotions. Feels like it's changed. Like that perspective has changed so much this year.
Honestly, in terms
But
of
maybe not.
prior to this, to the pandemic and the big shutdown, I remember the day we had a date night. We went out and they had just suspended the NBA season, and
Oh yeah.
just past that, I had been doing a lot of writing. But honestly, like that shook things up enough to where I didn't do much writing. I do the majority of the writing for the band. Juliet does some of the writing also, but I shut down and didn't do a whole lot of songwriting necessarily. I did a lot of like kind of learning some other folks' music. I played a lot of Bill Withers' music when he passed. Uh, but like it's just a lot to try to encapsulate in one song. And then when the Black Lives Matter movement had its major resurgence for for obvious horrible reasons, that's something that I'm very passionate about, and that's something that that I've done some attempts to write, you know, sort of a perspective on that. But mostly been working on being present and being with our family and being with our child. I was doing also like a weekly live stream of my own for the first part of the pandemic, but as like a lot of people were, and it's really slowed down to such a crawl now. People, I think it's hard to sustain that, and wanting to offer people music and connect with people, like you said, but it's hard to do that, and also to just be able to cope with everything that's happening in the world, and try to stay healthy at the same time. So
Yeah, it feels like it's been such an interesting roller coaster trying to keep up. I'm on the kind of like involved in digital content creation work streams, we'll say. It feels like the demand curve has just changed so wild, so rapidly, right? It was like within a month of knowing what Zoom was, Zoom fatigue was the dominant mode
right.
of understanding it. Like, oh, I know what that is, and I've done it 5 times, and that is as many times as I need to do that.
Right.
But it's also been really like kind of inspiring just seeing some of the stuff that's grown up and come out of it. Like Us and All Songs Considered a lot as well. They featured what was the city? It must have been
Yola?
Louisville, because it was Bonnie Prince Billy or Will Oldham was involved with the project. They did like a Louisville-wide kind of like remote connection songwriting session, and like wrote a song specifically to raise money for Louisville arts initiatives and trying to like keep our stages open initiatives.
Yeah.
So stuff like that's been really like inspiring, right? Like we know that great art grows out of challenging moments and grows out of struggle, and things like like the Black Lives Matter protests, which have been Portland kind of became a focal point nationally for that, which
Right.
is so
That'll also.
yeah, it just does so many interesting things to like what you're doing and how you're experiencing the world. The other stuff that I like to kind of jump into and touch on, so we're about half an hour in, is more like wrap up stuff. So let's jump into song 2 if you guys are ready and feel all right with that. But anything that you want to say about this and kind of mood, vibe, or set the tone?
I mean, I think like this song, even though Nate wrote it like before all of this, is really resonant to the times right now. It's kind of a we were making jokes like Nate's making prophecies, but he wrote the song, and it does really resonate with the tone of kind of what's been happening in this crazy year. But what else would you want to say?
I would say I have a bad habit of watching television and writing at the same times. That I got into like when I was maybe a teenager, almost playing guitar and watching TV at the same time, and that would be frowned upon by my fellow artists. For sure.
You gotta process,
He's just like writing all jingles.
It's just like
no.
I don't know. I would get into just putting something on and then sitting in the living room and writing stuff out and playing, just fiddling with the guitar and something, and maybe pausing the TV. But I was watching. I don't remember what the documentary was called. Like something about the ice. it was about glacial melt and about like major calving of glaciers, and this massive scale of like, you know, the effects of global warming visually occurring on this massive scale right in front of you. And I was watching that, just kind of jotting things down, and that's kind of where this song began. Just sort of like, things are gonna catch up with us, you know, eventually. Things always do. They all have a way of, I think as a species, we don't change unless it's absolutely necessary. Like, it's in your face, now you have to change. And it's often, I think, too late. That's a major issue with our species, that we fail to make necessary changes until it's too late. And,
Yeah, I was getting strong kind of reckoning vibes
yeah.
from the version that you sent over. So again, I'm glad that I wasn't totally off base. It's good to know that I'm not a terrible music listener. How about, actually, before we jump in, because you got the rehearsal space, but what does the recording space look like? This is like something I want to bring to the studio.
Same. It's just a one-room studio. We have a little isolation booth, but I'll just kind of rotate and show you if you want to see.
Well, so you do that at the, you don't need to like book studio space and like.
Well, it's not a fully functioning studio yet, but we're well on our way. So we've got like a little studio set up here, and
Nice.
that's one of our wedding photos, if you can see it on the screen. And then we've got a pump organ and a drum kit and a Rhodes 88, and then piano. Yeah, so it's a functioning room, but it's not quite ready to record full band stuff yet. I'm doing a lot of recordings of solo stuff currently, but see if that's still good.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Well, I mean, even the recording kind of landscape has just changed so much, right? Like, just how powerful a tool something like GarageBand is that now comes preloaded on every
Right.
Apple laptop and iPads, right? It's like, you know, I think the best reviewed record of the year is Fiona Apple's new record, which is,
Super
you know,
awesome.
takes the DIY, do it at home aesthetic to a whole nother level. So it kind of disrupts what you can do, you know, like you kind of lean into the fact that maybe you have an imperfect recording space. So that's great though, because I was thinking just about like, oh, we're gonna need to go book space, this professional studio, and that's all changed because of COVID as well, or something like that. It's just like at every point that you have to make a decision, it's been impacted, right? So the more points there are where you have to make decisions, it makes it more difficult to get the recording out to people. So it's great that you have, you know, less of those choke points, because I want to hear more cool stuff. So
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just something we're working towards. That's definitely on the horizon for us but I'm learning how to engineer and learning how to, you know, and just building up my equipment for recording here too. So we're on our way, but we have ways to go.
well, cool. Let's jump into the next one.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull some stuff out.
The day comes. Day comes faster than you will believe. The day always comes. You won't wait. It's coming for you. It's happening. The day always comes. You've been trying to hold some water in your fist to bring it to your cracked lips. Now you're staring at a giant open palm, wondering what went wrong, wondering what went wrong. You wake up thinking you must be
seeing things when you wake up. Go back to sleep. There is no more sleep in our dreams. You can no longer sleep. You've been trying to hold some water in your face to bring it to your cracked lips. Now you're staring at a giant open palm. One, two, one, get away from. She's great. You're ready to change all afraid it's too late. Too little to give and so much more than it would take. The day comes, you won't wait. Been living on borrowed time, now you can pay. Hey, the day comes, the day comes, the day always comes. The day comes, the day comes, the day always comes. The day comes, the day comes, the day always comes. The day comes, the day comes, the day always comes. The day comes, the day comes, the day always comes. The day comes, the day comes, the day always.
Whew. So that's a lot, but it also beautiful. And the other side of reckoning is either the optimism of rebuilding or, actually getting the message one of these days and doing something about it, which,
Absolutely.
we hope with the tree planting piece that we're at least doing some small part of that. So I didn't take your order for this one, but I had something in mind, especially when you confirmed kind of the apocalyptic piece. So I like to drink dark, bitter stuff, and I always like to do something, take in something stirred when we're getting to pair two cocktails. And this is kind of a mint julep type of drink.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
But I grabbed some blackberries, which we grow out back. And as much as I hate to rain on the blackberry parade, but they are also a weed and invasive species here in the Seattle area. And actually, of all the tree planting I've been to in the last 3 years with Noble Oak since we've done them, blackberry removal has been one of the core things that needs to happen to set the stage for actual tree planting events. So invasive species removal, of which blackberries is the first one. So there is kind of an apocalyptic element to that it is an invasive species, even though it's delicious and tastes great in a cocktail. And I used a super bitter kind of mint liqueur. So Fernet Branca is super bitter, almost like bartender's mouthwash, and this is that split with creme de menthe, basically. So it's super minty, but also really bitter. So it's kind of like a bitter blackberry mint julep with Noble Oak rye, which y'all didn't get the red label, you get the white label, the bourbon. But it has also a darker grain profile and really rich red fruit. So that's the drink, and I'm going to make this drink. But yeah, tell us a bit about, I guess, so you're thinking EP or album this is going to tuck into? Do you have...
Actually, we're thinking to start, we're just going to record that song, and we've been talking to some friends who have studios. They're doing some social distance recording about getting in pretty soon to do that song. And then there's a song that is also kind of a big epic thing, but is a lot more hopeful. So it's the other side of the coin. Like if like first part of change for me, and I'm also a clinical social worker, so for change to happen, you have to recognize first. So that's kind of the idea behind it, is like the day comes sort of in your face, this is what's happening. And then the other song is called Too Much Spirit, and it's very much a hopeful right situation. So
yeah.
So then we're gonna do those two songs, and the plan is to release like a 45 with one song on each side, you know, do a little short run release of that, and then work our way from there. Who knows? We're gonna take it pretty easy on this one. Like, there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
So
do you do a lot of like physical media releases now? That's kind of, there's been a resurgence.
we have records pressed of our last of Deepest Light, and we have really had a lot of demand for that, honestly. Yeah, cheers. The whiskey's making me talk a lot more, by the way.
Well, already.
It's a lubricant.
It's good. You know, it's good. It's good to have a chat and drink a little whiskey. I find it changes the mood.
Absolutely.
A lot of my whole thinking just with bartending is that, like, you got to build set the stage to make people have permission to engage in the thing, right? Like, so a little pour of liquor is good to set the stage, to make you feel like you're allowed to have the conversation.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, they're good. This is also a great drink that also pairs well with the song. So when we release these, and you get to you can go on Spotify and listen to the first one and make the ginger cider drink at home. And then when this one gets recorded, get the 45 and make this drink at home.
yeah.
But yeah, so kind of to send us home, I like to ask, what has been giving you joy? What has been giving you life? I always think of it, is there like a song, a movie, an activity, a book that you've read, something that you've engaged with that you would recommend to folks at home, or just that you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, this we can't share with folks at home, but for us, I think like our little one, her name's Freya, and she's almost 21 months old, so she's just like fully alive and present and fun and saying tons of words and just like running around like crazy. And so she's like an instant, mood uplifter, and just really, being able to be with her just brings us so much joy. Can you get the screen? And that's one thing. And I think, of course, like it being summer, like all of those, despite all of the craziness that we're in, still being able to visit those sacred places, like visiting the river and going to places in nature, to us, that's huge in terms of like who we are, and just feeling grounded and feeling a sense of calm and hope.
Get out in the trees.
Yeah, being in the trees, being in the water. Are there any, I don't know, specific things you have, like songs or books?
Songs, books, music, stuff. I mean, I'm a huge Mavis Staples fan. Our daughter's one of her middle names is Mavis because of my love for Mavis. So gospel music is a great go-to for me right now in this time.
I mean, any of the old Sam Cooke and the Soul Stirrers, that's always super inspiring.
We've been listening to a lot of reggae music too. It just makes things feel easy, and the trees in our backyard too. Like we have some old growth cedars in our backyard that are like we love on all the time. We're watering them right now just to make sure that they don't get the beetles that are running around. So
Mavis is still cranking out bang too. She's still going strong. Her last couple records are great.
Yeah, she's awesome.
I kind of glossed over this one midway through the interview, but since you brought it up and you like to spend time in nature, do you have any like favorite places to go or favorite nature memories?
Oh. With the two of us,
Or the band. I mean,
Either way, however you want to field it.
we go as a band to the river at least once a summer.
yeah.
Oh, pretty much, yeah.
We try to go
Yeah.
more. We always want to do like a full camp out, but we do tend to get to the river in the summer with the band, and that's always a fun memory because it's just good bonding. And
Washougal River is one of our very favorite places in the world.
That's the wedding spot too. I see in the chat they're shouting it out.
Oh, really? Nice. Yeah. Rivers most especially.
And I'm trying to think if there's like a specific memory, but
Well, I mean, also a huge place that's very special to us. That's an outdoor place. Is Pendarvis Farm, and Pickathon is something that we missed this summer more than anything. We celebrate our anniversary there because due to the whiskey and the atmosphere, that's when we hit it off more than just bandmates.
So it's definitely like one of our summer, traditions, rituals to get to go there and experience the place and the music and all that. So yeah, that's something that's special to us that was missed this year for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got Becca in the comments also shouting out the Pickathon Woods, and you have a song about Washougal, so we can go on Spotify and check that one out too.
I wrote a song about it. We might have to record that. At some point.
Oh, that one's not out yet too, so great.
Yeah.
Oh, will be in the pipeline. So where can we stay in touch? Where can folks at home follow you? I know we've mentioned Spotify to listen to songs. I've checked out your website a little bit, but like what else is going on? Is there a mailing list that we should subscribe to, or?
We don't currently have a mailing list, but Instagram is where we are posting most of our content right now. So we post our Insta stories a lot. We're kind of not on Facebook a lot.
It's all
currently.
the same company.
I know it's the same people, but
but like Instagram primarily, Instagram, Facebook, Spotify. The website's up to date, but since we don't have any upcoming dates for music, probably Instagram's the best spot.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Is there any final thoughts? Anything that y'all want to close with? Anything that I might have missed that you want to touch on?
Not really. Just appreciate. This is really fun. Thanks for having us be a part of this, and we'll make the cocktails for sure, and with Noble Oak Bourbon.
Yeah,
also.
this is super fun. We really appreciate you having us on, and yeah, we were already big fans of the bourbon, so it's really fun to do this.
Yeah, we would do a little final cheers.
Yeah.
Just cheers with the
Better
bottle.
pour me a little bit more.
Thank you.
I'm gonna need a little bit more. Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Yeah. Nate, Juliet, I really appreciate it. Love the tunes.
Thanks.
Love your spirit and energy. Glad that you're safe and well, and looking forward to hearing the studio versions of the new stuff.
Yeah, we can't wait to share them with you. We will when we have
Great
them.
to meet you virtually, Tom.
Yeah.
Likewise. Yeah. Thanks so much. Take care, y'all.
You too. Thanks.